Hello everybody and welcome back to another Pathfinder Plays, and today we are going to be talking strictly about weapons. No, I will not just be naming them all here and that is it. I will be going over ammo, why certain weapons were chosen to be in the game, makeshift weapons, airdrops, and how hardcore the weapons are going to get. So first things first, we all know that firearms and melee weapons will both be present in the game, but the main question that everybody seems to ask is, how common are these weapons and will they be hard to find? The answer is a resounding no. There are tons of weapons ranging from AK variants to lawnmower blades, so no matter where you are sure to find a weapon somewhere. Common household items can be considered weapons or sporting goods. Recent examples we have seen are the kayak paddle and a broom or rake. So, if you spawn to or find yourself in the middle of nowhere or in a small residential area, fret not! Go take a gander around some trailers or homes and find some tools to use. But, let's say you do find a firearm. What about ammo? Well, Shirk said that, quote, ammo won't be too rare. We want you to actually use weapons in DM, end quote. This is good news as current games like DayZ, though you do find ammo and sometimes you get lucky and get tons of it, they seem to have an ammo scarcity issue. This does, on one hand, increase the challenge and difficulty of the game, but at the same time, there's so many weapons in Dead Matter that the developers really do want people to use these weapons. Another question that might be asked is, can we craft our own ammo? The answer to that is also, sadly, no. The only thing that players can create regarding weapons are melee weapons and some minor explosives. Reggie Bless says, quote, no bushcraft here, like making stone knives, etc., no doubt a reference to Scum. But, he continues, you'll be able to make makeshift weapons, grenades from found materials, and so on, end quote. And Havoc Cake chimes in and adds, quote, there are some makeshift weapons like the lawnmower blade, machete, and the flamethrower, end quote. So if you, for some reason, are having a difficult time tracking down weapons, make sure you're looking at everyday items that could be disassembled into various crafting parts to make a weapon out of. Now, let me paint a scenario for you. You are in an urban landscape and you are searching through buildings, scavenging for loot, and being careful not to attract unwanted attention from either zombie or unknown players. You are lucky enough to find a safe tucked away under a desk in a manager's office. You pick the lock and your prize is some cash and also a pistol with sufficient ammo. You are beyond excited and you are relieved that you finally have a superior way of defending yourself from a distance. You exit the building and there looking at you are rival players and they want your gun. They begin firing at you, so you brandish your newly discovered pistol and fire in their direction. Everything is going fine until suddenly you hear a... You inspect your weapon and find out it has jammed. This is going to be a real scenario in Dead Matter. Oni asked if weapons will jam, and Onyx replied, yes. Yes, your weapons will jam in Dead Matter, so be sure you know how to tap rack and then bang. But let's say that you are in a firefight, you win and kill them all, but now a horde of zombies are coming your way. How will you know how much ammo you have with their minimalistic HUD? How do you inspect it? According to Havoc Hank, quote, there's an inspect action to check how much ammo you have, but with a number for your total ammo, not just to see if there's one in the chamber. So now you can quickly see how much ammo you have without the immersion breaking effects of seeing a number on your screen all the time. The people you just killed had weapons that are old and worn. They won't last too long because their maintenance has been delayed. So what do? Well, according to Reggie Bless, they will have durability, but it will make sense, and they can be repaired or cleaned as needed, end quote. I do have some information that I personally find disheartening and sad, because it made the game so unique. I'll read it all verbatim so you can judge for yourselves. Digipar said, quote, I really thought loot doesn't respawn. Everyone has said events bring more loot and your player kit is changed depending on the server's lifetime. Loot amount, end quote. To which Johnny Qatar responded, quote, it's an idea we've had for a long time, but we've decided against it. That being said, exotic and legendary gear still requires different approach than just looting whatever building and getting lucky, end quote. if I'm understanding this correctly, loot will spawn into the world like any other game on the market. If this is true, and if my impressions are correct, the implications are significant. This means that locations can now be camped by powerful groups. I'm thinking the supermarkets, police departments, and bunkers. A monopoly on food and gear can now be created by installing bases and fortifying those said buildings. This respawning loot system would encourage people to no longer travel and experience the world, but to stay in one spot because they know they have all they need in one area. Now, I'm not saying that there's not workarounds. I'm not a developer. I don't claim to know everything about this system. I'm sure they've thought long and hard about it. I did hear that the loot respawn will be slower, although I'm not sure how this is going to affect the loot reintroduction system. How fast it will respawn will obviously determine how long a group of people can stay in one spot. Either way, I have personally more skepticism now about this game than I did before, but I know that that's just my opinion. There are tons of people who are actually probably relieved that there is going to be loot respawn. It may be a sort of hybrid system. But on the topic of the introductions, and as far as I know they're still there, one of the introduction methods are airdrops. But what will these airdrops have? According to Stash, no guns, no ammo and airdrops. They'll have basic necessities. The reason for this is actually realism, and it makes sense. If there was a societal collapse, it would not make sense for the government to be dropping crates filled with weapons for unknown entities to pick them up. Instead, they would drop food, water, medical gear, and other essentials. But Johnny Guitar did mention something that was mentioned in the latest devlog: the legendary items. The question now is, what are they and what do they do? What makes them so legendary and what distinguishes them from other normal weapons? Your typical noob made some guesses saying, quote, faster reload, less spray, end quote, to which Havoc Hank said, yes, better stats like that. Johnny Guitar also said that these weapons will have, quote, tighter spread, specific attachments that cannot be removed like a night vision optic, etc., end quote. This last remark about the night vision optic seems to have not been discussed within the developers or at least the moderators' circles, because two senior moderators, Havoc Hank and Lieutenant Deputy Stash, both questioned this remark saying, quote, I thought night vision was a no, end quote. At this point I am conflicted as well. If information isn't being shared with the information givers, what other information do they not know? And what information, if they do not know, are they sharing that's incorrect? Because they've told people that there won't be night vision. So I mean, I guess it's good that it's just on a weapon, I suppose, and not a regular headset. I'm not sure. I guess that would mean that this would be a night exclusive weapon. Obviously, if it has an attachment that cannot be removed and it has night vision sight, you're not going to be able to use it in the daytime, so it will be very situational. So it's not too overpowered. However, if you really want to cause some havoc on players at nighttime, you're going to be a force to be reckoned with. As far as I know, Johnny did not respond to this question, and instead Shirk also said that legendary weapons will be, quote, stuff that makes sense, like caliber conversions, built-in suppressors, etc. We also know from Shirk that these attachments will be, quote, permanent and not be removable. Now that we know what the exotic attachments and buffs will be, or at least what they might be, what will the actual weapons be? According to Johnny, quote, exotic specifically refers to stuff that comes into Canada, end quote. And he continues saying, quote, full auto ARs, Russian weapons, etc., end quote. So this is some real life weapons that go into Canada in today's market. So that's very interesting. Some additional information that was passed is that no, there will not be sentry guns, and no, there will not be tanks. Quote, the game will focus more on civilian grade weapons and equipment with a light touch on military, end quote. There are currently 3 different kind of AKs in the game, and Emergency Shot Put asked, why so many? To which Havoc Hank made this interesting response. The reason they're in the world will be tied to the lore, end quote. I don't know what role they could play to the lore, perhaps different nations converging on Canada, I'm not sure, but I like the idea of weapons hinting at lore. And with that, we come to the end of this video. I know I passed a lot of information on to you guys, but I hope you all learned something new and exciting. What do you guys think of normal spawning loot? What about the exotic weapons? What are your thoughts? What other weapons do you think that should be exotic? Leave your answers in the comments below. And as always, if you like scares, survival, and scavenging, consider hitting that subscribe button, hitting that bell button so you never miss a video, and I will see you in the next one. Path out.